Well, I think that what you really have to think about here is how this is being covered. At any one time in our society, there will always be some people who are horrible and misbehave. The question is, how much attention do you pay to them? How many there are there? And I think that what's going on here is that the media, and very particularly the BBC, which tried for 24 hours to be nice about Mrs Thatcher, but the strain couldn't stand any longer, is promoting day after day the idea that she's very divisive, and particularly the idea that people are trashing her reputation by celebrating it. Very, very few people are. There are lots of very rational, sensible criticisms of Mrs Thatcher. It's important to hear them. The tiny number of people who are actually being vile, but they're being bigged up every day on the television and the radio, and particularly on the BBC. And I heard today a ludicrous thing on the PM programme. They're trying to get, basically the BBC is trying to get this Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead up to the top of the charts by going on and on and on about whether it should be banned, and all this nonsense. By the way, Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, the reason that song is sung, I think, is that the witch that's dead is the Wicked Witch of the East.
The Wizard of Oz, yes.
Yes, and it's the Wicked Witches of the East is the witch who's died. And it was Mrs Thatcher who defeated the East. And in this tale,
I didn't mean. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing if the song.
In this tale and this song, Mrs Thatcher is Dorothy.
So in that case, so you'll
walking the yellow brick road.
You'll be voting for it to go top of the top 40. Yes.
I think we'd better draw stumps.
Yeah, please don't come the Tin Man with us.
Ming Campbell.
I mean, this sort of notion of conspiracy of the BBC to do down Mrs Thatcher.
It's not conspiracy, it comes naturally to them. They don't have to conspire.
Well, this is a kind of persecution complex. If you look at the total coverage in the last, 4 or 5 days, it has almost universally been favourable to Mrs Thatcher. Now, can I say, I'm ashamed of people, for example, in Glasgow, which is where I come from, who dance Scottish reels in George Square and the main square, because I think that's thoroughly distasteful and thoroughly unacceptable. But the idea that this is somehow part of a natural, built-in revulsion fostered and encouraged by the BBC, frankly, is to exhibit a persecution complex which is quite unjustified.